In the South Pacific Ocean, northeast of Australia, there are many island nations. One of them is officially known as the Kingdom of Tonga. This country, which has approximately 70 islands, is famous for its coral reefs and shallow lagoons. With its turquoise and glass-like waters, it is truly like a hidden paradise. In 1965, the main characters of this story were living here. Stephen, Siona, Kolo, David, Luke, and Mano. They all attended a strict Catholic boarding school with rigid rules in Nuku'alofa, the capital of Tonga. These 6 boys, aged between 16 and 18, all had one common problem: a school that felt like a dungeon due to its strict and harsh rules. The idea of escaping from there and embarking on an adventure came to their minds. Their adventure was to go to the Fiji Islands, approximately 800 kilometers away. Then they had plans to go from the Fiji Islands to New Zealand. But there was a problem. The problem was that they didn't have a boat. They would solve this problem by stealing a fishing boat. The group didn't spend much time preparing and didn't pack much into their bags. In their bags, a small gas stove, some bananas, and a few coconuts. Apart from these supplies, they had nothing else, and they had neither a compass nor a map to find their direction. On Friday, June 18th, they set out to sea with their equipment and the stolen boat. Their journey to Fiji had begun. The weather was clear and clean. After traveling approximately 8 kilometers, they dropped anchor somewhere to spend the night. This is exactly where things started to go wrong. The calm weather suddenly gave way to a severe storm moving in a southwesterly direction. Their families soon realized their children were missing and immediately began searching. When they saw that a fishing boat was also missing from the dock, it didn't take long to understand they had gone out to sea. The storm was so intense that they couldn't start search and rescue operations immediately. On top of that, no one knew their plans, so they had no idea where to look. The Kingdom of Tonga was poorer than other island nations due to the difficulty of transportation compared to other islands. It wasn't surprising that these young people decided to escape from here to Fiji or New Zealand for a new life. After 2 weeks of search and rescue efforts, since they weren't seen on any island of Tonga or Fiji, everyone thought they had long since died. But the situation was very different. The boys were still alive and continued to drift in the ocean. They hoped to reach land as soon as possible. In the storm, they had already lost some of their hastily prepared supplies, and the rest ran out in a short time. After about a week, they saw a piece of land and barely managed to get onto that island. Their boat hit the rocks during this time and was damaged beyond repair. At that moment, neither the boys nor those worried about them had the slightest idea where they were. The place they found themselves was Ata Island, located in the Pacific archipelago 60 kilometers from Tonga, which was once a settlement but is now deserted. The island's previous inhabitants had been kidnapped by slave trader Thomas McGrath, and those people never returned home. When the king learned of this, he removed the remaining natives from the island to prevent them from being kidnapped as well. That's why no one lived there. When the boys set foot on land, they thought they were on one of Fiji's islands, but they were very far from Fiji. Their priority was survival. As the boys grew weak, they immediately began searching for food. They ate the birds and fish they found raw. When the boys recovered, they aimed to climb to the top of the island to see their surroundings from a better angle. When they reached the summit, what they saw was what the island's former inhabitants had left behind. They also encountered wild chickens at the summit. These chickens, left over from the natives, had survived and become wild. The young men immediately realized that if they wanted to survive here, they needed to work as a team and divided the work into groups. They built themselves a makeshift house, a chicken coop and farm to meet their food needs. For drinking water, they collected rainwater. It took them approximately 3 months to make their first fire. When they solved their vital problems, they built things like a simple gym and badminton court to avoid boredom. This deserted island, which at first was a place where they would fight for survival, had now become their own vacation island. The group knew that unity and solidarity were essential for survival, so when a disagreement or argument arose, those who fought would go to opposite ends of the island to prevent the situation from escalating. But generally they got along well, and in the evenings they entertained themselves around the fire with guitars they made themselves. One of the boys fell from the rocks while hunting and broke his leg. They immediately stabilized his leg with a piece of wood until he recovered. They divided the work he was supposed to do among themselves. While all this was happening, 6 months had passed. If you ask whether these boys ever thought about escaping, yes, they tried to escape, but they went in the wrong direction, and when this simple raft made from vines and logs was destroyed by the first wave, they were condemned to return to the island. The boys thought they were close to Fiji, so they thought they could escape by swimming south. If their boat hadn't capsized on the first wave, they would have been stranded in the middle of the vast, empty ocean. After about 15 months had passed, on Sunday, September 11th, 1966, Australian fisherman Peter Warner heard a scream while searching for fishing spots around the island. The fisherman initially thought it came from a seabird, but then the scene he saw was a group of young people looking at him. One of the boys immediately jumped into the water and started swimming towards the ship. Then the other members of the group did the same. One of the boys immediately told him what they had been through. The captain approached what the boys said with skepticism and called the authorities in the capital, Nuka Yalofa, to try to learn the truth of the story. When Peter learned that this story was true, he took the boys home without hesitation. There were families on the shore who couldn't hold back their tears. When everyone thought it was a happy ending, the boys went to prison for stealing a boat. The boys went to prison because the owner of the boat they stole filed a criminal complaint. Thinking this incident was great film material, Peter paid the boat owner 150 sterling and had the boys released. After the boys underwent medical examination, they were surprisingly observed to be healthy. In fact, the broken leg of the boy whose leg was broken had healed perfectly. Peter was declared a national hero. Peter later had a boat made called Ada and took these boys with him to introduce them to the world they had tried to escape to. This story is proof of what I mentioned in the Akali social experiment I told you about before, that in difficult times the urge to work as a team outweighs the urge to attack each other. Hard times create strong people. That's all from me. For this video, I hope you had fun watching the video. Hope to see you in the next video. Take care of yourselves. Goodbye.